Hello, welcome to Friday. You made it. I'm very proud of you that you did that you did that. My name's Tom Carnell. This is Carnell Knowledge. It's a show I do every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, recommending a bunch of movies, a bunch of books, and a bunch of records. I used to be a buyer for Tower Records and Record Factory and Warehouse and that kind of thing. I published and wrote a lot of Carpet Nocta magazine, which was a dark art publication back in the 90s. And then for 2 decades, I wrote for Fangoria and Dread Central and twitchfilm.com and a host of other places. Now I'm an author and I've got a bunch of books out on my Amazon author page. Go check those out if you'd like. A couple of things real quickly before we get started. Remember to watch this video to the end. If you get bored, get up and do something else, but let it play. It really helps with the algorithm, and it helps YouTube to be prompted to share my stuff, what we're doing here with others. If you have something you want me to promote or want me to look at, go ahead and email me. Or hey, if you want to just have a question, you want to take it offline, just email me at tomcarnell@gmail.com. And remember, in the description of this video down there is links to trailers for all the movies, Amazon pages for all the books, or Goodread pages if I can't find them on Amazon, and full YouTube playlists for all the albums. So, hey, don't take my word for it. Go over there, take a listen for yourself, and I hope that you find some things that you may not have heard of, but are something of interest, and I think that you'll find kind of groovy. We're going to start with the movies as always. Normally how these shows work is I recommend / review 5 movies, 5 books, and 5 records. I'm still tinkering with the format, but we'll see how that goes. But right now, that's what we're doing. And so let's get started. We're going to start with movies. We're going to start in 2006. The great Satoshi Kon, who directed things like Perfect Blue, Millennium Actress, and a movie I absolutely love, Tokyo Godfathers. We're going to talk about Paprika. It stars Megumi Hayashibara, Toru Furuya. Sorry if I screw those up. And the synopsis, as we say around here, is as follows. When a machine that allows therapists to enter their patients' dreams is stolen, all hell breaks loose. Only a young female therapist, Paprika, can stop it. An interesting side note that just occurred to me. In Japan, they're actually doing sleep studies with people and capturing their EEG. For example, when they look at a dog, they capture what the EEG looks like. And as they run sleep studies, a lot of sleep studies, I used to be a sleep person for a long time, did a lot of sleep studies for people. They're matching those with the EEG of people that are asleep and in REM. And the theory is that if the EEG looks one way when, let's say, that they're looking at a dog and they see it again when they're asleep, odds are they're dreaming about a dog. And then the thought is that AI will extrapolate that, and we will one day be able to look at other people's dreams. And that's kind of wild. So yeah, let's see. The movie Inception was heavily inspired by Paprika. This movie is like an acid trip. It's intoxicating. It does what anime does best, and that is sort of blur the lines. What Wes Craven used to call a rubber reality. This is a phenomenal film. It's wildly surreal. It's heart-pounding. It's a monument in animation. And boy, is it good. I really like Paprika. And I'm not a huge anime fan, and I'm not a huge manga fan. But man, is this a good film. It makes you question a lot of things about reality. And at times, it's just jaw-dropping. Highly recommended that. So, moving on to the second film. 1935, directed by Dennis and Clift, starring Bela Lugosi, Shirley Gray, and Arthur Margetson. It's called, in America, it was, you can find it under the name Phantom Ship, but it was also called The Mystery of the Mary Celeste. Synopsis. During a horrific storm at sea, the crew realizes that there is a murderer among them, and it's killing everybody off. Does it sound like And Then There Were None / 10 Little Indians? Yes. This, however, this film is moody. It's shot in just really beautiful black and white. It's a little set bound. I mean, you can tell that this wasn't on a boat, it was definitely on a stage, sound stage. Bela Lugosi shot this in England after The Raven in 1935 and just prior to doing The Invisible Ray in 1936. It was only the second production from Hammer Films, who did 4 features in the 30s before going on hiatus until 1946. This, I think, is an unsung Bela Lugosi film. He's great in it. The cast is great in it. The story's great in it. There is a particularly harrowing sequence in the chain for the anchors of the boat. They're sort of reeling it in, and there's a vault or a chamber where they keep all of that chain. And there's a harrowing sequence there where someone gets trapped inside. I love this film. I don't know why. Again, I keep saying this about a lot of the stuff that I talk about here. But I don't know why more people don't talk about this. This is a fun, exciting, mysterious film. And if you know anything about the legend of the Mary Celeste, it was a boat that they found floating in the ocean with no one aboard. And this kind of takes a fictionalized attempt at explaining how that might have happened. It's fantastic. As I recall, you can see it on Tubi for free. Most of these, I think, you can see on Tubi for free. Yeah, anyone at Tubi, give me a sponsorship, because boy, do I pimp your stuff. Let's see, our third film, 1979, the great David Cronenberg. This is an unsung Cronenberg film. It's called The Brood. Stars Oliver Reed, a terrific Samantha Agar, and Art Hindle, who is one of the nicest men I've ever interviewed. I think I interviewed him for Monster Brawl, which was kind of an awful film, but he was great. He was a lovely man, and I thoroughly enjoyed having the chat with him. Synopsis: a man tries to uncover an unconventional psychologist's therapy techniques on his institutionalized wife amidst a series of brutal murders. This is kind of an anti-family film in a weird way. Cronenberg allegedly wrote this film during a tumultuous divorce and child custody battle with one of his wives. He said that the character of Samantha Agar is based on his ex-wife, who looked a lot like her. Wow, it's something. It's loaded with, it's what I call a creepy kid film, where children are really frightening in it, and these especially, they've got sort of blank faces, and they all kind of look alike, all dress alike. It's a great film, and I don't know why people don't talk more about The Brood. They'll always talk about Videodrome, and they'll always talk about, Dead Zone and a bunch of his other films, but this was an early on, boy, did it herald the filmmaker that he would become. Funny side note I read, Oliver Reed was arrested by the Canadian police during the production of this film after he made a bet with someone that he could walk from one bar to another without wearing any clothes. So there you go. Oliver Reed stories. I love Oliver Reed stories. There are some wild ones. You can see on YouTube, there's footage of him going on British chat shows, and he's hammered. And boy, there's an infamous sequence on The Tonight Show with him and Shelley Winters where she poured water over his head. But what a screaming dude. He was up there with people like Richard Harris and Peter O'Toole, who's drinking is legendary. I interviewed a guy once who did a film with him, and he talked about, like, initially in production, he would pick out certain people and sit with them and get them really, really drunk, and then pick a fight with them afterwards. And then if you stood up to Oliver, then he'd love you forever. But I don't know how that would fly today. But Oliver Reed stories are great, and if you have one, please mention it in the comments, because man, I love that stuff. Again, The Brood, it's a classic. You should see it if you haven't seen it already, especially if you're a Cronenberg fan. Our next film, 1989, directed by Philip Noyce, who I didn't know that he directed this, but he directed like Dead Calm, the killer on a boat movie. It stars Rutger Hauer. Sho Kosugi makes a brief appearance towards the end. Terry O'Quinn and Meg Foster. Tell me if this doesn't sound familiar. A blind Vietnam vet trained as a sword fighter comes to America to help rescue the son of a fellow soldier. This is straight up an Americanized version of a Zatoichi film. I do think the Zatoichi films are legendary and fantastic. There's like 24 or 25 of them. I've seen them all. I think they are great fun. Shintaro Katsu kills it in the role, and Rutger Hauer does a fine job. They are. It's kind of, if you spend too much time thinking about it, it sounds kind of silly. A blind guy who's a master swordsman, but in the Zatoichi films it worked. In this film it's kind of played for comedic effect, but there you go. There was supposed to be a couple of these, but then that never happened. As I was doing my research, I found that Tim Matheson, the actor from National Lampoon's Animal House, directed this, or didn't direct. He produced it, which kind of blew me away. There's some great roles in this. Randall Tex Cobb is in this, and a couple other guys. It's humorless and it's fun. The martial arts are surprisingly good. The sword fighting is surprisingly good. I was blown away to hear that Al Pacino almost starred in this. But there you go. He would go on later to play a sightless person in Sea of Love. Not Sea of Love. The Scent of a Woman. He made Sea of Love instead of doing this. Again, it's fun, it's flawed, but it's a real kick in the pants. My wife and I still quote this movie to each other all the time. And again, the sword fighting is competent, and Sho Kosugi makes an appearance at the end. Good times. Our next film is not such good times. 1981, Umberto Lenzi, who's a legendary Italian director. He did things, The Giallo, So Sweet, So Perverse. He did the third world cannibal film, Man from Snowy River. He did the Giallo, Seven Blood-Stained Orchids, Knife of Ice, Eyeball, and then he did the zombie epic Nightmare City, which I highly recommend. It's cheesy, but yeah, when you've got an Italian version of Solid Gold being filmed and zombies invade the set, that's good stuff. Anyway, the film is called Cannibal FEROX. It had a lurid American title called Make Them Die Slowly. Giovanni Lombardo Radici, who I've talked about at great length on this show, is in it as John Morgan, is his Americanized name. Lorraine DeSelle is in this. I'm not even going to bury the lead here. It's a third world cannibal film. Three friends embark on a trip through the Amazon jungle to disprove cannibalism. But when they meet drug dealers and that sort of thing, they run afoul of a tribe, and guess what? There's cannibalism. Like Cannibal Holocaust, there's a trigger warning here. There are some animal deaths that are real. Giovanni Lombardo Radici had a real tough time with that stuff, and so all of the shots of his character being cruel to animals are or a stand-in. I love the story that Lamberto Enzi tried to convince Radici to do the killings by telling him Robert De Niro would do it, to which Robert Radici responded, De Niro would kick your ass all the way back to Rome, which I think is great. Giovanni expressed regret at doing this film. I'm not going to lie here, kids. This is a tough road to hoe. It's a legendary film. It's on par with things like Cannibal Holocaust and Jungle Holocaust and Emmanuel and the Last of the Cannibals and that kind of thing. Slave of the Cannibal God, or the Slave of the Mountain God. It's tough. It's a tough road to hoe. But I do think that the third world cannibal film is an important sub genre. Especially if you're talking about Italian cinema in the 70s. It highlights a certain thing, certain kind of film that doesn't get made anymore, thankfully. I think the last time someone tried to do this was Eli Roth with the Green Inferno. He said in many interviews that he was trying to do a third world cannibal film. But yeah, it's something. I mean, it's one of those things I think that most people will see just to check it off their list. But it has its moments. I'll say that it has its moments. And I think as a genre completist, you are selling yourself short to not at least take a cursory look at this kind of film. Again, it's got a real grindhouse feel, a real old New York 42nd Street kind of feel. But again, if you have a problem with that kind of a thing, then steer way clear of this one. You can get it. I think Grindhouse Releasing put it out on disc, and I'm sure you can stream it somewhere. So there you go. Not to belabor that point too much. Let's move on to books. Our first book, Mariana Enriquez did a book in 2024 called A Sunny Place for Shady People. This was nominated for a Stoker, which kind of shows you how meaningless the Stokers are, because I had a tough time getting through this, kid. I don't like to talk about books that I hated, but this one came really close. There are moments where it is what I'm going to call, and even this is kind of offensive, and I apologize, fat phobic. One story makes light of, if you know who Eliza Lamb is, she's the girl who her body was found in the water supply of a building. It makes kind of light of, not light of it like humor, but it uses it as a plot device where it's a horrible way that this person died. Overall, I would say it's a mediocre short story collection. It's being translated, so maybe it's lost something in translation, but it was up for a Stoker. And, again, I don't know why that's still a thing. I don't know why authors are put in competition for one another. It's become now where I've said this before, but it's more like the Oscars and the Golden Globes, where it has little to do with the source material. It has everything to do with the marketing campaign and the people that are reaching out. Yeah. Overall, I might be tempted to read something else to see if it was like this, but overall, I'm going to warn you away from this one. Not great. But she got a huge push. My Kindle was pushing this book on me for a really long time. Next up, quite the opposite. From 2014, the great Harry Shannon doing a short story collection called A Host of Shadows. In this, Harry gives us 27 short stories, some published for the first time. If you don't know Harry Shannon, he is an actor, a singer, an Emmy-nominated songwriter, a recording artist in Europe, a music publisher, a film studio executive, and he worked as a freelance music supervisor on films such as Basic Instinct and Universal Soldier. He's a lovely man, and he writes exceedingly well. This is an exemplary short story collection. It's just fantastic. It's an unsung collection by a woefully unsung writer. Not a lot of people talk about Harry, but boy, should they. I don't want to like oversell it, but this was one of the highlights of the books I'm going to talk about this week, or this show. It's absolutely fantastic. It's handled well, and it's written well, and the stories are engaging and they're interesting, and I highly recommend it. Up next, this one kind of blew me away. This is something that I didn't even know was existed, but I guess there's a ton of them. This book is from 2004. It's called The Time Machine Did It, and it's written by a guy named John Swartzwelder. If that name sounds familiar, he was a writer on The Simpsons for years. He worked on David Letterman's show. He worked on SNL, but he's mostly known for writing. Like I'm going to bet that if you have a favorite Simpsons episode, odds are John Swartzwelder wrote it. Much like last week's Frank Conniff Dark Apnea book, it's silly, but it's told by a master of silly. It features a PI named Frank Burley, who is off on a case, and it's inventive, it's weird, it's wacky. This one really tickled my funny bone. I didn't know that Swartzwelder was writing books, but like I said, I went on Wikipedia and there's a grip of them. There's a ton of them. I will undoubtedly be picking up more. And it's hard. During my research, I was trying to find an interview or something with John Swartzwelder. He's a recluse and he doesn't do a lot. I think there's one interview with the New Yorker that he did. But other than that, it's impossible to find any data on him, which is kind of wild. Let's see. After that, 1988, an author named Shaun Hutson, who wrote the UK novelization for The Terminator. This book is called Assassin. It's essentially London is gripped by the bloodiest outbreak of gang warfare ever seen. Shootings in the street, kidnappings, bombs, blah, blah, blah. And into this comes this assassin who, I'm not going to give anything away, but I don't know that he's really alive. It's visceral. Hutson writes books that don't play around. He's an author who, you hear about authors going for it. That's Hudson's stock and trade. Like when everyone else kind of looks away, Hutson dives in deep. It's fun, it's gory, it's a complete good time. Again, by an author not a lot of people talk about, but I thoroughly enjoyed Assassin, and again, I think you will too. And then finally, a little bit of that, more on the Karl Edward Wagner book I'm reading called In a Lonely Place. I continue to be completely raptured by it. Wagner is a great writer and a great storyteller. And he, it's always like something different. You know how some people have like vibes they like to repeat again and again? Not this boy. Excuse me. This is good stuff all the way across. I haven't hit a story yet that wasn't firing on all cylinders. So there's that. Moving on to records. We'll go through these right quick. We're running a little long, but that's okay. Our first record is from 2025. It's by Java Haavisto. It's called Live at the ECLIPSE Jazz Club. He's a Finnish musician. It's like new jazz fusion, very groove-oriented. He's one of the fluidest players I've ever... Is fluidest the word? But he's a fluid player. He reminded me of some giants. John Scofield, Mike Stern, Kazumi Watanabe, and I don't throw that name around lightly. This is a great record, very engaging, very intricate, very you can tell like live that the audience, it's a live record, that the audience was, I'm betting, sitting there with their jaws on the floor. Just fantastic. Again, go in the description, you can hit the YouTube playlist and you can hear for yourself, but boy oh boy, this one's a good one. Up next from 2025, the band's called the Hypersonic Factor. It's led by a guy named Jason Rubenstein. The album's called Benevolent Beasts. This is fusion made by musicians from around the world. Again, it's tight, it's articulate, it's a real barn burner, this one. It reminded me of things like Bob Berg, Return to Forever, the All Hail Cassiopeia, and it's great. It's got a great cover art, and the music is fantastic. I really, really dug this one a lot. Had it on repeat for most of an afternoon, and so there you go. After that, 2025, seems like we're all in 2025. Well, almost. The Alex Skolnick Trio. The album's called Prove You're Not a Robot. This guy, so he plays jazz, new jazz, but he also plays metal. He was a student of Joe Satriani. He was in Testament for 5 records, and then left, and then returned to the band in the mid-2000s. If you had told me that this guy played metal, I wouldn't have believed you. Just from the sound of this record. This reminded me of things like Pat Metheny, Bill Frisell, Frank Gambale. I was confused by this in a big way. Once I found out that he played metal, everything I heard, I'm like, I gotta be listening to the wrong record. But no, sure enough. It's great. Again, to Prove You're Not a Robot, Alex Skolnick Trio. 2 more. This is 2013. The Richard Hallebeek Project 2. I guess there was a 1. It's called Pain in the Jazz. He's a Dutch jazz fusion guitar player. He played, excuse me, he played with everybody from Dweezil Zappa to Guthrie Govan. If you haven't heard Guthrie Govan, Jesus, that guy. Crazy. And he played with Alan Holdsworth at one point, who's another god in my book. This reminded me of things like John Scofield, Kazumi Watanabe, Alan Holdsworth, Tim Miller. It has you making that face as you're listening to it. And like the lines that he's given are just bizarre. They're great. They're fluid as heck. They go on forever. But you know that wincing, like, geez, this guy is just tearing it up. The whole time, my face was all twisted up like that. It's great stuff. I highly recommend it. Just absolutely fantastic. Let's see. And then our last one, we're going to go back to 1977. The band's called Pulsar. The album's called Halloween. They're from France. It's basically back in the old days of records. One side was one song, side 2 was another song. It feels like a concept album, and it kind of is. But this is fantastic. Just great. Again, it's prompted me to go and look for more Pulsar records. Reminded me of, let's see, Genesis, the French prog rock band Ange, the French prog rock band Clearlight Symphony, King Crimson, Camel. Are you getting that? What I'm talking about? It's fantastic. It's great. I love this record. And it's got this spooky vibe to it that's kind of cool. I'm always a sucker for spooky vibes, but in the midst of this, there's just some great prog rock, and you're going to love this a lot. I guarantee it. And that's going to do it for this week. I'll be back on Monday with a whole rash of other stuff. My lists are already started. Do me a favor, please. I want to thank everybody for, we just cleared 100 subscribers. And I have you to thank for that. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to make this as big as I can, so more and more people can hear about this stuff. Like and comment if you would. If you comment, I'll get back to you just like that. And share it to your social media. I would be very, very grateful. And that's going to do it. I hope you have a good weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.